headlines of this hour on VTV News. National Assembly discusses reforms to government structure and authority. Vietnam attends AI Action Summit in Paris. In a world news, US and India boost cooperation.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good afternoon. It is now 3 p.m. local time in Hanoi, and you're watching VTV News. I'm Thuy Linh with the latest updates. Now, during a Friday morning's discussions on the amended government organization law, National Assembly deputies emphasized the importance of clarifying the national government mechanisms and calls for clear decentralization and delegation of authority to ensure effective functioning. More to follow.
Deputies argued that the government should include provisions on national governance in addition to the state management role. They also stressed the need to clearly define the responsibility of the Deputy Prime Minister as a member of the government.
The draft law does not specify the Deputy Prime Minister's responsibility as a member of the government. This provision is incomplete and should be supplemented with the Deputy Prime Minister's collective responsibility within the government.
Additionally, many suggested that decentralization, delegation, and authorization should be clearly defined to avoid overlaps and to establish mechanisms for supervising those granted authority in order to prevent the shifting of responsibilities.
The principle of decentralization must clearly distinguish the roles of the legislative, executive, and judicial branches. We must establish specific mechanisms for delegation and authorization to ensure those granted authority are empowered to act and held accountable.
The regulations state that the local authority can proactively coordinate inter-regional linkages, but the coordination mechanism is not clear. I propose adding criteria to evaluate conditions for decentralization and delegating authority to competent bodies when they meet the necessary conditions in terms of workforce, financial resources, and management experience.
Deputies also proposed strengthening the government's accountability to citizens and improving oversight mechanisms between the government, National Assembly, courts, and prosecutor's office.
Now, at the National Assembly meeting on Friday, the government presented an appraisal report on special mechanisms and policies for the Ninh Thuận nuclear power project. According to the report, the government proposed granting the Prime Minister authority to assign an investor for the project. Additionally, negotiations with partners regarding an intergovernmental agreement on cooperation and state-backed credit for the power plant's construction will run parallel to the approval process for investment policy adjustments. Once approved, the government can select a contractor under a turnkey contract that includes planning, design, construction, insurance, and initial fuel supply. Fundamental science is the foundation of all technological advancements. However, amid the race for applied science and technology, commercialization these fields is at risk of being overlooked. Proper recognition and adequate investment in fundamental science will provide the groundwork for Vietnam to achieve sustainable technological mastery.
This is the accelerator machine at the Hanoi University of Science Physics Laboratory, Vietnam National University. The device is used for research in various disciplines, including material science and semiconductors. It demonstrates that fundamental research in physics plays a crucial role in developing new technologies.
Fundamental scientific research is crucial as it serves as the foundation for all subsequent achievements. Although it may not yield immediate benefits, its long-term impact is immense.
X-ray machines, large MRI scanners, or ultra-small ultrasound probes for disease detection are rooted in fundamental physics knowledge. These are the achievements of basic research.
Professor, Doctor of Science Ngo Viet Trung stated that fundamental science drives breakthroughs in applied science and technology. Yet, Vietnam's investment in fundamental research is only 2.5% of the national science budget, just 1/10 of the global average.
All groundbreaking technological achievements originate from fundamental scientific discoveries. Without fundamental science, we cannot master rapidly advancing technologies or drive innovation. We would be limited to outsourcing to other countries.
Attracting talent to fundamental science remains a challenge due to insufficient investment. Scientists hope that Resolution 57 will provide appropriate support for fundamental research, recognizing its foundational role in helping Vietnam take control of its scientific and technological future.
Now, the AI Action Summit held in Paris on February the 10th to the 11th brought together government leaders and major technology corporations to discuss AI's global impact. Vietnam was among the few Asian countries invited to the conference, represented by experts and businesses from its technology sector.
At the Paris 2025 AI Action Summit, Vietnam showcased an agricultural application that drew significant attention from participants. The app helps prevent environmental pollution by analyzing crop nutritional requirements and reducing excess fertilizer use while optimizing farm production for sustainability, one of the 5 key topics discussed at the conference.
This is a new approach to agriculture that shifts focus from plants to soil composition, since soil nutrients take about a month to reach plants. By emphasizing disease prevention over treatment, this method significantly reduces environmental impact.
The application was featured during discussions, with Vietnam's booth attracting experts and businesses interested in agricultural technology.
Every country in the world should look at the opportunities presented to them, but every country knows where it might have the benefit of having more efficiency, more data analysis, more adoption of this technology to improve.
During the AI Action Summit, participating nations supported the Sustainable Development Goals and AI for agriculture as key conference objectives.
Experts analyzing Ho Chi Minh City's service industries have identified 3 sectors with global innovation potential: information and communication technology, ICT, banking, finance and insurance, and professional scientific and technical services. These sectors currently drive 35% of Ho Chi Minh City's service sector growth, with impressive annual compound growth rates ranging from 6 to nearly 9%. The city's statistics office reports a workforce shift from manufacturing to services, particularly toward these innovation-driven sectors. Ho Chi Minh City aims to secure a massive investment of around $24.3 billion, with $20 billion coming from social investment sources to achieve a double-digit economic growth this year. The city has been implementing comprehensive and decisive measures to reach this ambitious goal from the beginning of the year.
The identified funding sources include public investment, public-private partnerships, PPP, state-owned enterprises, domestic private investment, and FDI. Non-state capital is decisive, accounting for approximately 13.7 to 15.7 billion USD. According to the Department of Planning and Investment, PPP projects will be accelerated this year.
For businesses, the key considerations are cost-effectiveness and policy mechanisms that enable companies like ours to confidently invest, build, develop, and efficiently operate logistics centers.
With public investment as the leading capital source, Ho Chi Minh City remains committed to its 95% disbursement target this year. The city is implementing the 1-3-7 formula to disburse 15% in the first quarter, 35% or more in the second quarter, and 70% or more in the third quarter.
We are also exploring investment mechanisms such as PPP for digital infrastructure development and mechanisms to attract social capital for high-quality workforce training.
Regarding FDI attraction, the city is accelerating the development of an international financial center.
On the institutional front, the city is fully committed to administrative reforms, aiming to create a more open and business-friendly environment.
At the same time, Ho Chi Minh City is actively resolving stalled urban planning issues, developing transportation infrastructure, and expanding existing industrial and export processing zones to attract investment.
Now, with significant market demand and favorable conditions for the development of aquaculture models, Central Highlands provinces are focusing on attracting investment from seafood businesses to implement high-tech aquaculture models. Leveraging this potential will significantly increase local residents' income.
The Central Highlands region is currently home to more than 2,250 reservoirs, with a total water surface area of 50,000 hectares. Ideal conditions for aquaculture. These aquaculture operations can be integrated with industrial crops and fruit trees, utilizing natural feed sources and fish-produced organic fertilizer to lower production costs.
In the near future, we need to pay more attention to the linkages between aquaculture models and high-tech aquaculture to minimize risks for farmers and increase their income.
With these distinct advantages, there is significant potential to develop large-scale and sustainable aquaculture zones in the Central Highlands. In response, Dak Nong Province has developed a plan for the province's aquaculture development through 2030, with a vision to 2035. The goal is to increase mountain residents' income and create conditions for producing specialty fish breeds with export potential.
We aim to move away from traditional and small-scale production towards more centralized production to create concentrated production zones. Farmers have also adapted to applying science and technology.
Currently, aquaculture products from the Central Highlands primarily supply local markets and are exported to major cities such as Ho Chi Minh City and Da Nang. However, the region's aquaculture potential remains largely untapped. Rapid implementation of a high-tech aquaculture development project is a direction that should be supported and expanded at this time.
Before moving to other important news, let's take a look at the foreign exchange rate of today, February the 14th. Coming up next, new ecological park to transform Ho Chi Minh City's urban landscape. And Vietnamese flavors make sweet entrance into U.S. chocolate market. Due to the tropical depressions, many fishing boats in Quảng Ngãi have postponed their first trips of the year to ensure safety. At Saki Port, fishing boats have temporarily suspended departures following weather alerts. Meanwhile, several boats from other provinces returning from anchovy fishing have docked at Saki to sell their catch. These crews plan to remain moored for a day after learning about the tropical depression before resuming their journey. The Mekong Delta will face 3 more saltwater intrusion waves before the dry season ends. Forecasts show that fresh water may appear during low tide in areas 40 to 45 kilometers inland from February the 15th to February the 23rd. Irrigation systems and residents are advised to increase water storage to prevent drought and water shortages. 3 additional saltwater intrusion waves are predicted between late February and March, and with the most intense wave expected at the Mekong River estuaries from February the 24th to March the 4th. The Ho Chi Minh City's People's Committee is planning to provide a 115-hectare ecological forest park located in the heart of the city, with a total investment of $267 million. Once completed, it will become the city's second largest park, playing a key role in developing a clean and modern urban environment.
Featuring a diverse range of plant species, the park is primarily made up of wetlands and marshlands. The area will be transformed into a megapark. Located along the Saigon River, the forest park will largely consist of a wetland ecological zone, complemented by facilities for tourism, sightseeing, and plant research.
The area is also developing, so we will create entertainment zones for people to enjoy the scenery, and there will be other activities for people to explore.
I like it more now. Having a park with greenery on this road makes me feel happier. I also want the city to have more green, clean, and beautiful parks.
Ho Chi Minh City has the lowest proportion of public green spaces among the country's major cities. Creating an ecological zone in this prime location by using existing resources is practical and will both increase green space and create an attractive destination for locals and tourists alike.
Currently, the amount of green space per capita in the city, especially in the downtown area, is about half a square meter per person. Meanwhile, the target we are aiming for is 20 times that, which is 10 square meters per person. The city's focus on creating parks and utilizing spaces before buildings are constructed to serve the community is a very positive initiative.
Reviving the ecological forest park will not only provide environmental benefits, but also attract investment. It will also drive sustainable economic development through eco-tourism and environmental education, bringing long-term advantages to both the existing community and future generations.
Today, February the 14th, Valentine's Day, the gift market is bustling with fresh flowers, chocolates, and a wide variety of products to meet consumer demand. At some flower shops, orders have surged 30% above normal levels. This year, gift stores have prepared for the occasion by stocking chocolates in diverse designs and flavors, with prices ranging from $4 to over $40. Beyond chocolates, jewelry and plush toys remain popular Valentine's Day gift choices. As the world celebrates Valentine's Day, every culture brings its own unique twist to the occasion. From heartfelt gifts to sharing deep emotions, this day is full of meaningful traditions. Among these, Vietnamese chocolates stand out, bringing rich, exotic flavors that add a special touch to the holiday.
The reason I created Vietnamese flavor is because when I started, it was all like European flavor and plain, because no chocolate had any Asian flavor whatsoever. How about I make something more Vietnamese? Of course, Tương ớt, right? Sriracha, because that's what we have with pho. People thought I was crazy. I think people, like you, they thought I was crazy.
That's how chili chocolate was created. Wendy soon added guava, passion fruit, durian, and milk coffee, blending her homeland's flavors with chocolate into a unique line, all packaged in a box called Little Saigon.
During COVID time, people were at home and they cannot have meals together. So then they cannot communicate with each other in person, but they can send a box, a meal to them and enjoy the box together to have a meal together. I showcase my flavors from my heritage. It also brings to the Vietnamese community, showcasing the flavors we have, our heritage, our culture, our holidays. Not just pho, right? It's not just X, Y, or Z. It's all sorts of flavors. And we can celebrate that. We can celebrate Tết Trung Thu. We can anything with chocolate. And we can show we have more to our culture and heritage with the flavors.
Coming up next in our world news, US and India boost cooperation. And Munich Security Conference 2025 opens. At the regular press briefing on Friday, responding to a question about Vietnam's reaction to the U.S. halting USAID-funded projects, spokeswoman of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Phạm Thu Hằng, emphasized that both countries have effectively cooperated for years in health, education, environment, climate change, disaster relief, and post-war recovery efforts. The suspension of USAID projects, particularly a mine and explosive ordnance clearance, and the Bien Hoa dioxin remediation project will significantly impact human safety and the environment. U.S. support in searching for missing American soldiers has been meaningful, especially as the two nations marks 30 years of diplomatic ties. Vietnam hopes to continue practical and effective cooperation with the U.S. to maintain long-term and stable relations. On Thursday, U.S. President Donald Trump and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi met in Washington, D.C. and agreed to accelerate trade talks and double bilateral trade to $500 billion by 2030. At a joint press conference, the U.S. President said the Indian Prime Minister offered to negotiate tariff relief and purchase more oil, gas, and F-35 jets from the U.S., concessions that could prevent a trade war. The Indian Prime Minister confirmed that to ensure energy security, the two countries will focus on oil and gas trade with increased investment in nuclear energy infrastructure. He also revealed plans for cooperation in AI and semiconductors and strengthening the supply chain for strategic minerals. The three-day Munich Security Conference opened in Germany on Friday, serving as the premier forum for international security policy. At the conference, 60 heads of state and 150 ministers will discuss global security challenges, with Ukraine's peace process taking center stage. Now, this year's conference focuses on increasing multipolarity and growing polarization, both internationally and domestically. The Munich Security Report, published ahead of the conference, examines how this multipolarity affects peace, prosperity, and international collaboration. While a multipolar world creates opportunities for competition and diversity, recent developments, particularly evident in U.S.-European trade tensions, suggest its disadvantages outweigh its benefits. Hamas announced on Thursday it would proceed with releasing 3 Israeli hostages as scheduled on February the 15th, stating that it did not want the ceasefire in the Gaza Strip to collapse. Hamas also called for Israel's full compliance with the agreement, noting that top statements from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and U.S. President Donald Trump were not helpful to its implementation. The message followed a meeting between a Hamas delegation and Egyptian security officials on February the 12th to discuss solutions to issues related to the ceasefire's implementation in Gaza. Now, previously on February the 10th, Hamas said that it would postpone the release of Israeli hostages scheduled for February the 15th. In response, Israel warned it could continue bombing Gaza if the hostages were not released as planned. Scientists at the California Institute of Technology, or Caltech, have developed a tiny robot designed for targeted drug delivery, according to a research paper recently published in Science Robotics. More on this to follow.
The microrobots, known as bioresorbable acoustic microrobots, BAM, use a hydrogel called polyethylene glycol diacrylate. They can navigate through bodily fluids, be precisely controlled, and release medicine only at their intended target.
Micro-nanorobot have the high potential to navigate through the hard-to-reach environment of the human body for precision surgery or drug delivery.
The microrobots can vary in size but are roughly 30 micrometers in diameter, smaller than the width of a human hair. They were created using two-photon polymerization, TPP, lithography, an advanced technique that enables structures to be built layer by layer with high precision.
To enable precise control, we actually incorporated the magnetic nanoparticles in the micro-nanostructure design, so that when we print this microrobot, magnetic nanoparticles will get entrapped inside the structures. So eventually, using external magnetic field, we can precisely control the propulsion direction of this microrobot.
And once the microrobots have done their job, they can safely be absorbed by the body. Future research will explore the potential applications of these microrobots in medicine, with the long-term goal of conducting clinical trials in humans.
Now let's continue with the weather forecast. And that's the end of VTV News. To rewatch our program, you can download our mobile application or check out our YouTube channel, VTV4Go. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time.